Hit for the Dodgers. By the way, it was interesting. On Sunday, Boston sports fans got to see the Red Sox beat Houston in the ALCS, and then the Patriots beat, obviously, Kansas City. And then last night, great night for the state of Wisconsin, the Brewers hold on to beat the Dodgers, got a lead and held on. It's been a close series. Either the tying run or the winning run's been on base in the ninth in every game. And then the Packers come back and engineer their win over San Francisco. So it was a great night for Boston on Sunday, a great night for the state of Wisconsin last night. And with that, via the Coward Global Satellite Network, we bring in Peter King, NBCSports.com. You know, it's funny. I'm watching Aaron Rodgers last night, and when the game was over, Peter, I was like, wow, what an effort by the 49ers. I kind of felt like Aaron Rodgers was a life preserver. Sometimes you win games, and you don't go cheering into the locker room. You feel like you survived. That's kind of how I felt with Green Bay last night. I came out of that game more blown away by San Francisco. Your thoughts?
Well, I think San Francisco's defense really, really came of age last night. And one of the things that they have been dying to see is Solomon Thomas being an impact player.
Yeah.
And that, to me, was the most impactful game he's played since being the third overall pick last year in 2017. That's one takeaway. The other takeaway is, look, I know the last 10 minutes of the game are not going to be on C.J. Beathard's highlight reel at all. But to me, this is a guy, there's a reason why Kyle Shanahan likes him. He has a presence.
Yep.
He's, he's Bobby Beathard's grandson. He's a football lifer, even though he's a young guy. He's going to be in this game for a long time, and he's going to have a place on teams because he's not the most talented guy, but he is going to give you everything he has. Teammates really like him. And look, I'm not saying that the Niners aren't going to be looking at Tom Savage and aren't going to be looking maybe to get another guy at that position, but I think they really like having C.J. Beathard as a developmental guy in Kyle Shanahan's system.
By the way, you know, I said there's a part of Aaron Rodgers that as he gets to be 35 in December that reminds me of Marino, and I hope it doesn't end the same way, where I look up and I go, Aaron and Marino gave me 15 years of wow, all-time arm talents, a lot of limping at the end, and I'm asking, why didn't they win more in January? I look at this Green Bay roster, Peter. Again, there's an amazing stat that the Packers literally are minus 91 through the first 3 quarters of football games in the last 3 years and plus 105 in the fourth quarter. Didn't it feel like to you last night that Aaron once again just saved his franchise?
I mean, it's the second time in 6 weeks when you think about it, Colin, that Aaron Rodgers has taken his team on its back in the last 2, 3, 4 minutes and won a game it had no business winning. And that's kind of how I felt about the Chicago game in week 1 and the San Francisco game this week.
Yeah. By the way, so let's go to a couple nights ago, Patrick Mahomes and New England. First of all, it was a tremendous football game. It's exactly what the NFL wants its games to look like. This is why they've made rule alterations. What was your takeaway, not on the Patriots, but on the Chiefs losing that way? What's your interpretation of how it kind of landed for that franchise?
Well, Colin, at the end of the game, I was at the game. And at the end of the game, I stood outside the Chiefs locker room and watched them file in. And sometimes, I mean, I've been covering football for a long time. And sometimes when you see teams in the bowels of these stadiums, you hear an F-bomb or you hear some cursing or you see somebody really ticked off. Maybe somebody throws something, but there's some sign of anger. I don't mean this at all to mean that the Chiefs were satisfied with losing, but I think the Chiefs had the presence of mind to have this attitude. Our superstar quarterback, our burgeoning superstar quarterback, managed only 3 field goals in the first half. He overthrew 2 guys who were wide open for what would have been touchdowns. We still scored 40 points. We scored 31 points in the second half of this game. We went toe-to-toe with the great Brady and Belichick in their place, so we're going to be fine. we're not worried about ourselves. And that's the attitude that I sense from the Chiefs in their locker room. And look, the Chiefs still have some really tough games. They got another game against the Chargers. They play the Rams in Mexico. So, I mean, they're not going to prance home to be 14-2. They're going to have a hard go, you know, to get home field in the AFC. But I think they left Foxborough Sunday night feeling like, hey, you know what, we're pretty good.
You know, every year in this league, and you've been covering it for several decades, there is a team that will emerge. Couple years ago, it was Atlanta that got hot late and got to the Super Bowl. Last year, October.
Last year was Philly.
Yeah, Philly in October started chopping it up and blowing people out. Is there a team this year that's a little under the radar? We see this every year, Peter. You get close to Thanksgiving, somebody gets hot. Who is it for you this year?
It's the Chargers. If they can survive this weird schedule stretch, they do not play at their home field for 41 days, Colin.
Wow.
I can't imagine that there's ever been in the modern history of the NFL a team that isn't home for 41 days. But again, they got one of their home games. They're playing it in London this weekend against Tennessee. They got their bye and all that, but they're a long time away from home. They're currently away for 11 days in Cleveland and London. And I guess I would just say this. If they can survive the sort of lack of normalcy, they're good enough. Plus, probably in about a month, they will get one of the best pass rushers in football back, presumably healthy and fresh and ready to play, say, the last 6 or 7 weeks of the season, how long it is. But if you're going to get Joey Bosa back healthy at a time when a lot of the tackles, the left tackles and right tackles, might be dragging down the stretch, I like them. The one other thing I really like about this team, you tell me which one of those offensive weapons that you're going to take away. Now that Tyrell Williams has really emerged. 3 catches, 116 yards, physical, tough, Terrell Owens type of player. And I think he's going to be a really big weapon for Phillip Rivers down the stretch. Melvin Gordon. I think this is a good team, Colin, and they have a chance. Their problem, though, is imagine if they're the wild card team and you've got to, let's say for the sake of argument, win at Kansas City and at New England to make the Super Bowl. That's a pretty tough road. Yeah, especially for a warm weather team. Kansas City and New England in January are tough places to go. You know, I look around the NFL right now, and if I was the New York Giants, I would consider going after Jacoby Brissett, who I think's a starter, who's currently a backup. I would consider Derek Carr. I'm that serious. I think it's a mess there. But let me segue to Le'Veon Bell. His numbers are historic. This is a 250 carry, 85 catch guy, gets into the end zone. He's a remarkable, historically relevant running back. No takers. The Steelers are, James Conner's got 7 touchdowns, 118 yards from scrimmage a game. Are you surprised that the Le'Veon Bell situation is basically, there's no takers? No, nobody, I don't even think Pittsburgh's in a rush. Are you surprised by that? Here it is, Colin. At least here's what I think. Nobody knows what Pittsburgh has been offered for him, but I wouldn't be surprised if the best offer for him was, let's say, a 3rd-round draft choice. Okay. And the reason is, if you trade for Le'Veon Bell, you have to also sign him. So you're not only giving up, let's say, a 2nd-round pick and something. I'm assuming that's what the Steelers want. But if you have to give a 2nd-round pick and something, and you have to make him the highest-paid running back in history, that's a tough pill to swallow for a team. It has to be a team that has a huge amount of cap room and has some extra picks to give. And in my opinion, the most logical team to do this would be the Indianapolis Colts. Yes. But I don't think they want to hamstring their cap like that. If I were Chris Ballard, the GM of the Colts, though, I'd think seriously about doing this because, in my opinion, If you look at the AFC South, none of those teams are untouchable.
Thank you.
Jacksonville has fallen back to the pack. You have no idea if Blake Bortles is the quarterback of the future. Houston, one of the worst offensive lines in football. You don't know how good they're going to be. And obviously, Tennessee is almost a coin flip. They got a really tough defense, but they have not played well on offense. This is an eminently winnable division.
It still
not
is.
Necessarily this year, but for the future.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure this year. I think the Colts defensive line has been surprisingly good. They've been unhealthy. They get healthier. I'm with you. I think we got a long way to go in football. Le'Veon Bell and the Colts feels like it works for me. Peter King, NBCSports.com. Peter, great talking to you on a Tuesday.
Thank you, Colin.
All right, good stuff. NBA does open tonight. I've got some thoughts on Russell Westbrook around the corner. Lane Johnson, who does not like me, in 15 minutes. Joy Taylor with the news.
No.